This is an example of my guys. You see over here the Shahidim. These are...
Where is this?
This is in the middle of some village next to Shechem.
Hey folks, this is the Other Barak coming to you live and direct from the Holy Land here in Israel. I'm going to Jerusalem today, to East Jerusalem, to Area C of Judea and Samaria, to see different parts of elite army units. I'm not entirely sure how much access I'm going to have, but I have an expert who's going to be taking me around to talk a little bit more about geopolitics, show me a little bit more of the landscape of Judea and Samaria, see some of the complications of what it's like living there. So let's get in. Hey y'all, you guys can tell that I'm in right now Jerusalem, East Jerusalem. I'm with an expert here who's a commander. He's been working and serving in Judea and Samaria for the far majority of his military service, and as a reservist, let me show you guys the view. So this is East Jerusalem, old city. As many of you know already, I'm so used to looking at the screen, I have to look at the camera. As many of you know already, I used to live in Israel when I was a kid during first and second grade, so coming back here and seeing the Dome of the Rock and the old city is very, very nostalgic for me.
You can see the area of the Temple Mount, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, back is the Western Wall, the Christian Quarter, all that in front of us is the old city of Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. What you see in front of your eyes is mostly about a third of Jerusalem. 2/3 you cannot see because it's on the other side of the mountain. The background's over there and there, which this is the third, that's the Muslim area of Jerusalem. It's mostly East Jerusalem. If we're talking 70 or no, from 1967, this was actually all Jordan. All around you was Jordan, and from those high rises over there, it was actually the border between Israel and Jordan, which were actually
Transjordan at the time.
East and West Jerusalem. Now all this is Israel. Half of the people here are Israel citizens and half of them are residents. Okay, most of them do not want to be citizens because they really believe sometime Jordan will come back over here to be a country and to conquer back this land from the Jews, which will never happen because this is the capital of Israel for the past 3,000 years. We can see this also in the history and everything you see in our eyes in archaeology.
When you say citizen, resident, are you talking about those who hold a Teudat Zehut? Those who don't?
Everyone has Teudat Zehut. Okay. Some of them have a Teudat Toshav, and like one of them has Teudat Toshav, one has Teudat Zehut. Yeah, so not all of them has Teudat. Sorry, right.
Okay.
You can see all the culture. Some Israeli flags like over there, on the right. You have also back over there because there's some Jewish communities decided that the Muslims can live in one of the largest cemeteries in the Jewish world. Also the ancient. The oldest one is still being used until now. Okay, since the son of David is buried down over there called Avshalom. So that's historic. Historic-wise, we're here for 3,000 years. You can see this in everything you see and look and dig in this area.
Can the public go to his sons too?
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, interesting.
There were mostly, by the way, for when the 19 years in Jordan was here, they just ruined half of these tombs. They were broken. We found them in 1967.
Wow.
We had to fix up the whole cemetery. This is a big project of Israel. They don't respect these kind of things. Of course, in the middle of Jewish quarter, you see a Muslim minaret and mosque. Of course, we respect them and we give them the time and amount and money and budget to have a nice mosque in the middle of Jewish quarter. Mm-hmm. Right next to the corridor, by the way. So every Muslim you see over here, this hotel called the Seven Arches, and the tourism over here, they love living in this area. Okay. By the way, the people living over here are working mostly in Jerusalem as cab drivers, people in hotels, in the kitchens, in the hospitals in Israel. If you go to a hospital in Paris, Mount Scopus Hospital on the right, or in Karam Hadassah in the western side, you'll see a lot of the staff. I won't say most, but a lot of the staff are Arab Israelis from here. They have a good salary. They're doctors. They're nurses. They're the people who are in the rent again, all the technical workers in the hospitals, and they love living in there. But they would never say this to their neighbor or to their friend out loud. Because if they say to their friend, which is, I don't know, a neighbor over here, they'll say, oh, we love living as the Jews because they're honest, they're good people.
They let us earn a higher salary.
And a better, ×3 of salary than the Palestinian Authority, for sure. Okay? We're loving here. It's amazing. It's the best deal I did ever. In all Muslim world and all the Middle East. 22 countries surrounding Israel. They have the best life around, for sure.
As Arabs.
As Arabs.
As Arabs.
You saw the women walking over there before with
Yeah.
the jeans and all the tight. You can't walk with that, like in Kuwait. You can't walk
Sure.
with that.
Sure.
Jordan,
In Iran.
Syria,
Yeah.
You can't walk like that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, of course, yes, in Europe they can do that because it's a modern country. Still, hopefully, it will continue being like that because it's also being conquered by extremist Muslims.
What does the internal conflict look like within these areas between those groups that they probably don't respect that kind of behavior, where they're not covering their head, where they're not wearing modest?
The young generation is giving a fact.
Interesting.
Okay, it's not. It's different. Of course, it's different kind of groups. Like over here, there's a lot of tribes, gangs, like we have in all places, like mostly tribes. But the young generation wants to blend in. But the young generation is also brainwashed.
Sure.
If I go and arrest a terrorist over here that's going to do a terrorist attack inside Jerusalem, western side Jerusalem, and we've done that a couple of times. More further east, okay, more in Isawiya and other places around, you see inside the homes, you're going to see, not like in my house, you have a nice tree, waterfall, or whatever, nice Michael Jordan slam dunk, whatever, in 1988, right?
Mein Kampf.
You'll see the terrorists who just killed Jews in some places, a big poster of them. You'll see Al-Aqsa Mosque in the center of the house, like a big picture. That's their goal. Okay? And to get the goal is to kill the Jews. Now I see this, not talking about political opinion, I'm not talking right, left wing, I'm talking about facts. I see
Actionable items, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, sure.
They admire people who kill the Jews, they give them money and everything like that, but also they see, I'll have your house. So if a young boy, a 6 years old boy, grows up in this kind of community, or in the Judean Samaria, or in Gaza, even worse, controlled by Hamas or Palestinian Authority, no matter what, their goal is to not live next to the Jews or beside the Jews, but instead of the Jews. That's like a
No Jews.
fact.
No Jews.
No Jews.
No Jews. Yeah.
Exactly.
No,
So
yeah.
I wanted to wish in 1995, when we were living around and having the negotiations with the Palestinians and say, oh, let's live together. Yes, we dreamed to live together. And my contractor, my electrician are Palestinians in the house.
Wow.
I saved Palestinians' homes and I saved their lives. I've got a good connection with them because they're neighbors. We live with them and work with them all the time.
Wow.
I have my driver who's going to take groups around next week are Arab Israelis.
Wow.
But we know that their goal is to kick us out sometimes over here. That's a problem. And it's a problem that I wanted to wish years ago that would not happen. That we live together and shake their hand and have a good time together. But reality shows you different. Okay? Well, of course, you know what Golda Meir said years ago, that
Yes.
if we lay down our arms, we're not going to be here. If they lay down their arms, we're going to have some choice or some idea for peace or something like that. In the background, you can see a little hill over there. That's Shmuel Hanavi. Kever Shmuel Hanavi, the prophet.
Oh, that hill.
In the
Okay, yes.
background,
yes,
that's the
yes.
tell. Beautiful, by the way. Beautiful lookout. If you go there sometime, it's a good place to go with a date.
Okay.
Good coffee shop over there. Nice. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, like a coffee truck. That's on the right. That's Mount Scopus over there. This is Mount Olives over here on the right. The reason it's called Mount of Olives because down the hill over there is a church called Gethsemane Church. You heard about it? Gethsemane. It's a place where Jesus had the last lecture, all kind of stories like that. And one of the most ancient trees, olive trees, over there. There's a big project then in the history of Israel, and also making money for old times for olive oil and selling it, and it was a big thing then. And of course, the old city in front of you, which is divided into 4 quarters. You know this already.
Yes.
But the largest quarter also is Muslim quarter, as you can see. Temple Mount over there with all the trees you see in front of you is a very delicate area. The hill on the right, you see right next to the buildings on the right, northern part of is an area of where Jesus has his first station of the cross, and it started the Muslim quarter that goes to the Christian quarter up the hill. It finishes at the Christian Holy Sepulchre Church, and on the left is a Jewish quarter, where the White Dome is.
Did you get ever like response from people? Like I always say to people, we have a lot of anti-Israel radicals who will claim that this land is Palestine, that it's always been Muslim land, that Jews came in here, colonized, etc., etc. And I always say, I was like, please tell me exactly what is beneath the temple, right? Like explain to me what's beneath the temple. And they seem to circular answer or avoid the idea that objectively speaking, there is a temple that was built beneath prior to this Al-Aqsa.
I'll tell you the truth. I think that in the Quran, it says about the temple of Shlomo HaMelech, right? It says.
Beit HaMikdash.
It's Beit HaMikdash. It says it's built, the Golden Dome is built on Even Ashtiyah. It's called the Dome of the Rock. What's the rock? The rock is the rock that was our rock, our stone, Even Ashtiyah, and the rock that was temple was built over there. It's actually all based on Israel history here. The question is if you're listening to the facts or wanting to listen to the facts, which means I could show you all the evidence, and also in the Muslim evidence, and also the Jewish evidence, and also Christian evidence. This is 3,000 years ago Jewish.
Correct.
Okay, you can see if you dig over there, down the hill over there in the city of David, you'll find
they took me through.
You'll find coins of Uzziyahu HaMelech that were found a few weeks ago. Well, the king Uzziyahu, which lived here 2,900 years ago. Okay, it's a coin.
Or you take a coin from Palestine back then, where in parentheses it says Eretz Yisrael.
Right. Or the king of Judah, or Chizkiyahu. Tons of evidence. No evidence of Muslim evidence. Not even mentioned once in the Quran, and you know this, of course. But I'll tell you this: all the Muslims know the truth, but they're building up a new narrative that is, if you preach, just like the Nazi propaganda in the 1930s, if you preach a lie, teach a lie, show the lie in all kind of social media, and show the lie that's in all kind of movies and yesterday's Eurovision, and you'll see that it works. It works. People will say, "Oh, free Palestine!" All kind of demonstrations around the world. If you ask him and sit down in a coffee shop and talk facts, he doesn't know the facts. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know anything. If you have a very smart guy who's very good in debate, so like there's some guy, I forgot his name in the press, a cool guy who wrote a book, How to Win a Debate, and he's a Muslim guy, he's very good, okay? It's all based on stories, not facts, okay? And also the stories sound good to the ear, but it's no connection to reality.
It's true.
So I think you'll see also in this story how the Muslims live amazingly over here. Look at the big, beautiful villas over here. You can see the homes. You can see the salaries. You see the hotels over here on the right. You see nice, beautiful communities. We're going to drive also towards East Jerusalem now, towards Ma'alah Adumim city, or people call it settlement. Of course, not us. It's a big, beautiful city, Jewish community, and you'll see how the real story is and what people hear in the news.
One last thing is, like, you see even some of where I live in Tel Aviv, so we've had unfortunate events where sporadically you have people who looks like it's coming from area A of Judea and Samaria, West Bank, making their way in west towards Tel Aviv, stabbing a kid who's sitting having coffee. Yeah, you say that there's a lot of people here who do live, they love their life, right? So those two communities are completely separate. Right.
The Palestinians living in the area A or B
don't get along with a lot of the Muslims
can't come here. They live in the Judea and Samaria, West Bank, and they have a fence and they have the checkpoints to go. By the way, up to before the war, 200,000 Arabs every day go into Israel to work. Okay, Muslims.
What I was asking you was, you were saying that those who are in area A can't come here.
Right. So we're going to see also. We'll see a checkpoint in a few more minutes.
Okay.
I'll drive you through the area. And I'll drive you nearby a Bedouin village and a Palestinian village, and you're going to see that there's a big difference between the life over there and life over here. They're also they're not poor like people think. Oh, those poor Palestinians. No, they're
those
rich.
In area A.
Also area and also B. I show
True.
you enormous villas. I can take you to Har Bracha. You'll see down the city of Shechem. I can show you some pictures I've been there a few nights ago. Of enormous villas, beautiful homes of Palestinians living over there. Because they have business with the Jews, and it's easier to do business in the area over here than doing business in Jordan or in Saudi Arabia. Serious, okay? And also they have also poor areas, like the refugee camps are poor. But the refugee camps, they make people stay there and become a refugee generation, second, third, fourth generation, which never happens in the whole world.
That's right.
We were refugees in the 1940s and 50s from Muslim countries. I have friends who are Moroccan, Yemen, Algerians and Syrians and whatever.
Sure.
Some people went to America and have now live in Brooklyn and Deal,
Sure.
right? And some live over here.
Yeah.
And after 10 years, instead of being a poor refugee guy coming from kicking them out from their communities in Syria or in Libya or in Morocco, they made a life. And yes, maybe my father was a refugee, but now I'm a proud Jew working in a beautiful house, working in a job and have a nice house, and that's it, finished. Refugees off, but they actually continue being refugees as an idea.
Well, UNRWA is the only organization that allows this refugee problem to continue.
And they get lots of money.
Correct. Yeah.
It's the biggest charity organization in the world.
That's right.
The Palestinians, all the Palestinians, not only refugee camps. Okay? Why should they stop being a refugee or the Palestinian poor Palestinians? Because it's a good business, makes a lot of money, enormous amount of money in donations. If they have a solution with the Jews, two-state solution, which is a big mistake or whatever, or other things, that's it. They're not going to have they're not going to be the poor Palestinians anymore. They're not going to have all the money flowing into them. So they want to continue making this problem, just like the Hamas now are going to do everything they can to not solve the problem with hostages now.
Correct.
Because they want to push it the most they can. Because the Jews we're fighting with each other, of course,
sure.
and it'll make more problems, and they're goodness.
What do some of the Muslims in this area think about the idea of living side by side with Jews? But like we talk about one state, two state. I think it's all.
If you have a talk with them personally,
off camera,
yes. Amazing.
Wow.
The guys, the chief. I just had a nice breakfast with a friend of mine in the Citadel Hotel. The guy, chief, charged all the workers, about 100 workers inside the hotel of Muslims.
He's Muslim.
He's Muslim. He's the chief guy there. He sat down with us. He's amazing. Such a good life in here. Wow. He's not going to give it up, this life he has.
Wow.
Good work, good salary, good conditions, social security, healthcare.
Nobody's seen this narrative. No.
But he can never say this out loud to his friends.
Right.
I told you before.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
You and me will say, "Oh, it's amazing. Let's live together. We'll be brothers. We'll be shevet achim gam yachad." Beautiful and like beautiful, right? But if he says this to his friends when he smokes hookah at night with his friends, he'll be killed, or he'll be
Someone's knocking on his door. Sure.
Exactly.
Sure. I think that's very telling. Right?
Oh yeah.
Amazing.
Those are Bedouins. Okay, those it's an Alawite tribe.
They literally live right there?
Yeah, that's where they live, 2025. On the left is a famous village, it was on the news also. It's called Khan el Ahmar.
Okay.
Have you heard about it? A big tribe over here of Bedouins on the left over here. Well, maybe I have a drone here if you want. You could throw a drone up here close to it if you want.
That one.
Yeah, there's a school over here, they have a mosque over here, which did not have years ago a mosque. Because Bedouins were not so religious. They were just like gypsies going around, traveling around. And now they became more extreme and religious. And now they have mosques inside Bedouin tribes, which they did not have years ago.
Wow.
And then on purpose they have big loudspeakers towards the Jewish community, which is my community over here on the left. That's where I live. Why? Because they wanted to annoy us, in the morning. Why not wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and have a call for prayer? It's called Judean Desert.
It's gorgeous, honestly.
What's special about this community, by the way, it's very hazy today. Usually it's beautiful scenery. You can see the scenery. It's actually first community in the whole country, which is a mixed community, secular religious. Because you usually have a kibbutz or a community that is either religious or secular. This is mixed. There's a security guard over here.
He knows you, obviously.
Yep. What's up? We have over here the school and the factory of for making the tzitzis.
Do you guys ever have any security issues here?
This is a quiet community.
Quiet community.
Haven't had issues here for almost 30 years. Maybe less, 20 years. Sometimes there's some people, some robbers that steal something in the homes, but that's
Okay.
Also, that doesn't happen a lot. On the left over here is a small industrial area, which you have, the garage and factory, a bakery here on the right. You have a horse range on the right for kids. Say why not over here? Of course, there's a lot of reasons. I have business, I have a work, I have a job. I want to be next to Tel Aviv, next to a mall, next to a shop, nightlife is amazing in Tel Aviv, right?
Okay.
But as a family, if you want to live in like a 14th floor, small tiny apartment in Bat Yam or Herzliya, or living in some, why not live over here? If you ask me, of course, that's why I live here. I grew up all my life in Jerusalem. I wanted to live in Jerusalem, but then it was so expensive. So I said, no, let's move to the suburbs of Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll show you when I show you the maps why I cannot live in the suburbs of Jerusalem, because there is a northern part you have Ramallah, eastern side you have East Jerusalem, southern you have Beit Lechem. So what do? You have to jump over those communities, which is nowadays called the Judea and Samaria, West Bank. Right? I'll show you in the maps in a few minutes.
Wow.
Is that beautiful scenery, guys?
Gorgeous.
Cool, huh?
Wow.
That's a view from my house.
That
So
is
I ask you as a person living in Israel, why not live here in our beautiful land?
I understand. When did you start collecting this stuff?
This is a private collection. Also, it's part of it is given to me from archaeologists and Massif collects archaeology. By the way, that was over there was frozen from the time of Obama. American government has to approve building in Judea and Samaria. You know that?
I didn't know that.
Now you know.
When you say it was frozen,
It was frozen for a long time. Biden administration kind of like were fine with it. And before that, the first Trump, he allowed to build this over here.
holy moly.
Isn't that amazing?
That's crazy.
Okay, so over these maps over here shows you a little about what's going on now in Israel and how we are small compared to the world and what it means West Bank or Judea and Samaria and those kind of historic like a little lesson. And also, of course, Gaza, how close Gaza is to Israel. People think it's the southern western side of Israel. It's very close. And what's going to happen in Israel if we don't finish up the job now with Hamas? What's the next threat that's going to be if we don't finish the job now in Israel? Okay? So a little like 7-minute introduction, then we get into the hardcore. Okay? This is Israel compared to other countries in the world, how we are small compared to Russia, China, and America. This is our neighbors. Okay, we have like kind of like a cold peace with Gaza, with Egypt and Lebanon and Jordan. Sorry, very very low. All the eastern border of Israel is actually Jordan. By the way, we have our troops in the eastern side of Jordan because that's with Iraq and Iran. So we have our guys all kind of also surveillance. It's because we don't want the Iranians on our borders over here, the longest border. Egypt, we have a cold peace, and in the past 30 years, they're smuggling. Since 2005, Gush Katif, 20 years. Okay? Smuggling into Gaza hundreds of thousands of illegal ammunition, guns, RPGs. Everything they attacked us on 7th of October came from here, this border
Is a lot
over
of that
here.
coming from Iran? Is Iran shipping it to Egypt because they know that they share a border with Gaza?
It's funded by Iran.
The RGC, no, I know that.
Most of it is coming from Russia. Like the technology, the missiles are mostly from Russia.
From a delivery standpoint, it's coming from
Russia.
From Russia. Okay.
Yeah, but it's imported from
Iran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Judea and Samaria. We'll get this back in a few more minutes. All the holy sites of Israel are actually in the center of Israel, the mountains of Israel. This is another map that shows you a little bit about how we are a small, tiny country compared to the world. You can't even write the name Israel inside the world. It's so small. So when they say the big Israel compared to the small Palestinians or the small Arabs, always remember that we're surrounded by so many Muslim countries. Okay? And we already had the other side, we'll show you now, that what was called Palestine. Okay? And this
British
now,
mandated Palestine.
Exactly. So now we're going to talk about facts. Later on, I'll give you my own opinion. Okay? 1917, the Balfour Declaration gives all of this over here, the West Bank and the East Bank, Jordan River Bank, to the Palestinians. Sorry, to the Jews, called Palestine. The home for the Jews. Balfour, he said it, Lord Balfour, the British guy, he said, this is one, right? You know this, I'm sure you know this. Right?
Yeah.
Okay? So this is given to the Jews, and then after 5 years, Herbert Salm, the first Jewish governor, people call it equivalent to Bernie Sanders, like the Jew, but he's not such a like a self-hating Jew, whatever. He divided this into east and west. The East Bank was given to a Hashemite kingdom from Saudi Arabia. Okay, no borders then. All this was one area. Okay, and the West Bank was called Eretz Israel. Why is it called all the West Bank? Because before it's not the political. All of Israel's West Bank. Right. Then 30 years later, another time. Now after 1946, the British and the French are giving out land in the Middle East for presents to people and to countries that were living there and tribes living there, like Syrian tribes and Lebanese. By the way, it was a Switzerland of the Middle East. Lots of Christians living there in Lebanon in 1940s, 50s, 60s.
Same with Egypt. Wasn't Egypt also
a lot of Druze, not Christians, but Druze. Okay, but they're kicking them out and killing them throughout the years. And now Hezbollah is controlling Lebanon and kicking out or killing the Christians. Yeah. Now, if like 50% were Christians then, now there's maybe 5% Christians. And also Druze all around. And of course, Transjordan becomes Israel. Now, two-state solution becomes 1947. They decide two-state for two countries, for two kind of peoples in those times, the Jews and the Arabs, living in the area of the Palestine, then called. Okay? So we have forced to say yes to this small, tiny blue country. Why? Because after wandering the world, after the Holocaust, after whatever troubles we had, we'll say yes to anything. With all the boats coming from Europe, from refugees from Europe and from other places, part of the country, we'll say yes. But what the Arabs say, they said no and launched an attack on Israel in the 1948 war, which they lost. They lost the first option of having a country, Palestinian state. And this, I'm sure, the people that are giving up the Free Palestine, those flags, and yesterday's night, Eurovision does not know these facts. Also facts, not yet opinions.
They already technically had a Palestinian state, though, right? This is already Palestinian.
Right.
This is still their Palestinian
if you go
state.
to Petra, and you travel to go to Petra, a beautiful place, by the way, and you go to a place called Medba, which they found the Medba map in Jerusalem. All the Medva city is Palestinians. 90% of the population of Jordanians are not the Hashemite kingdom. They're actually Palestinians. Either refugees from here in 1948 or living there for the divided of we saw before, the map before.
Sure.
Right? So, yes, to have a country which is east from Israel. By the way, no history there. Yes, their Persian history is a very rich history in Persia. Also Iraq, by the way, Babylonian. Also Egypt, one of the most amazing empires in the history of Israel, in the history of the world. Very ancient. That's it. Egypt, Iran, and Iraq. That's it.
Mesopotamia, yeah.
And Turkey also has a lot of history.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's it. Lebanon, Syria, Jordan is a made-up country from the British and French. Okay?
Same with the name Palestine. The Romans renamed it Syria Palestina because they also wanted to attempt.
Right,
to
in the third century, when we lost. The second century, when Hadrian became Caesar of Rome, okay, after the Bar Kokhba revolt, Jews lost, and they had a punishment to the Jews. All this area became, instead of Judea, they called Palestina. But yes, that's officially the first time that it's called Palestina, but Philistines before, in the Bible, the Philistines were mostly in the coastline over here.
Yeah, yes, they were coastal people.
Tribes,
yeah,
right.
They were coastal tribes, yeah. Water tribes. Yeah.
Exactly. But this was a 6-day war, which I told you we're very good in the short wars because it's fast. The reservists are not tired, exhausted. So when I tell you about that I just now finished my 4th deployment, I had only 50% of my guys coming. Wow. The first deployment, 7th of October,
everyone.
120% came. Even guys who were older and injured, they came. It's a war of our dependence, we got to come, and everyone came. Second deployment to Gaza, two platoons went inside in July, 100% came. Because it's cool, it's Gaza. And that's November, 70%. This March, or 50. We started in February, we started in Purim time, 50% came. In 7th October, like I told you, another 350,000 people were called up that day. And it was about 10 o'clock in the morning. And then I was called to the base, I'm not going to tell you the name, but it was close to Jerusalem for equipment. So, like me, 700 soldiers of mine were called up that day also, of my soldiers. And it took time to collect everyone from the country. It took people coming from the north and the south. It takes a few hours to get organized. So I'm one of the first in the base. And I see in my phone what's going on in Gaza now, and in Be'eri, and in Sderot.
What time was this?
This is about 11 o'clock, an hour after.
You were here?
I was in my house. 10 o'clock, I get a phone call from Officer Daniel, come, we need you now, and all the units.
You already knew what was happening?
Yeah, we knew what's going on. It was in the news and the videos. And they told us to wait for orders. Wait for orders, and you're probably called up not to Gaza, you'll be called up to the area of Shechem and Jenin.
In case something...
So, meanwhile, I wait, and I see in the phone all the videos in Sderot. They just burned up destroyed the police station. And their families are kidnapped and killed in Be'eri and Nir Oz and Kfar Az. And I said, I can't stay here. I can't wait for orders. I'm going to go. So I brought 6 of my guys into my Jeep. I have a different Jeep then. I got a different Jeep, Land Cruiser. And we drove towards Gaza. Because, waiting for orders, enough. I can't wait for orders because you see what's going on. We come close towards Sderot, and we see cars flipped. And I said, what's going on here? This is not, then even my glass in the back was shattered, was shot.
For your car?
My car. We're in the battlefield. My guys go out, and they start shooting. They find those pickup trucks, and they start, Then I get a phone call from my officer. Dan, where are you? What's going on? Where are you? I said, I'm in Sderot, next to Sderot. What are you doing in Sderot? I told you to wait in the base for orders. What's going on? What do you do if you're me?
I mean, you can't go back.
But you got to follow orders.
You have soldiers, and if they're dead, that's on you then.
Or you know what's going on
It's
here.
now your
You're
responsibility
in a
them.
battlefield,
Okay,
right?
But you didn't follow the orders, but now you're in a situation where you probably have to protect them. That's my opinion.
I agree. So
By the way, I don't know anything.
I agree to it now, but then I had to follow orders. I told the guys, come back to the car, even though they're they were in tack, how you say, in
combat.
In combat.
Yeah.
Some of my guys even killed some guys.
In Sderot.
In the highways next to Sderot, not as in the 232 highway.
Okay.
Like north from Sderot.
They told you to leave.
So I said, get back in the car. We gotta go back.
What happens if you don't follow the order?
Listen, the army is based on orders, on the ranks. You have to do it.
So many
so
orders
my
are not followed
responsibility.
that morning.
My
So many
responsibility. I know. First of all, now if I go back, I would have stayed.
I'm saying what would
Because I could have either or not be here, or saved a couple people's lives, because they needed the soldiers. The famous story. Where was the army? The army was waiting for orders. Because the army didn't know what's going on. Yeah. Of course, they send every unit that could go. They send small units here and there, not the big platoons or the big battalions coming as a group to finish up a job in Nir Oz or other places. And this kibbutz seemed like Nir Oz, they were there for 12 hours. The army didn't come. Mm-hmm. So yes, I feel guilt, there's Jewish guilt, but that's part of us as armies. But I went back. But listen, if I wouldn't go back, it could be the same thing that happened also in Shechem and the Jewish communities over there. Like Itamar, Alon Moreh, Ariel, city of Ariel, those areas in the middle, or in the north, not me, but other reservists were called up in the north to protect the borders in the north, just in case of attack of Hezbollah, which
That's valid. I think that's valid.
It's important.
Like, how do you do both? How do you not let soldiers do what they need to do there, and then at the same time go back? I don't have the answer.
I agree.
But what if one of your soldiers, God forbid, got shot while you were there? Then they look at you and they're like, look what you did.
What are you doing there?
Yeah. So.
But because it was big chaos, I don't think it was something that would happen. And my guys for sure saved some Jews because they killed some Arabs, some terrorists, so for sure. So I feel a little good in that. But listen, if we were not going to that Jewish community over there in the center of Israel, like the West Bank or Judea and Samaria, could be there would be attack over there, because the Arabs that we're seeing the videos, all the terrorists we arrested throughout the months in the center of Israel or Judea and Samaria, they were not ashamed of what happened that day. They were motivated.
Sure.
They loved it. Said, "Oh, we gotta do it too." Yeah. Also, Hezbollah. Luckily, they didn't have attack that day. Yeah. We did a pre-attack. They were launching missiles, of course, also from the north. But what I'm saying is that it was a terrible decision, Not
By
easy.
you?
It was an not easy decision, okay? But it was good I went to there because we just relieved the Nahal Brigade to replace them, and they went down south to Gaza, the young guys. Took a little more time, but that time was critical. Serious, that first day was critical.
So you're telling me that if you hadn't listened, like if you could do it again, you'd go back, you'd stay. Then what?
I would stay.
What was next? You get out the car too. What's
For
next?
sure.
And then
And fight. Oh yeah, that's what I do. I'm good in that.
Yeah,
That's what my guys are special
That's
forces.
crazy. That's crazy.
But it could be I wouldn't be here. Who knows?
Sure.
Or my guys. I had two of my soldiers were killed. My platoon number 4.
From when you went down
killed
there?
no different times in the middle of the war, and we killed a different soldier from friendly fire, which is not easy. My soldiers are injured. Okay. So this is a very difficult issue, and that's of course an example of all kind of conflicts you have in battle, especially when you're in charge of soldiers.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not like my own guy. I have like responsibility of a lot of soldiers also.
The other thing that comes to mind is there's probably no such thing, correct me if I'm wrong, training in the army that prepares you to make decisions like the one you would have had to make. Like there's no such thing as preparing you to make a decision.
We were prepared of maybe 20 guys coming into Israel, 40 people, not 6,000.
Have they implemented
ריי, נראה לי שנחכה עוד שנייה.
Have they implemented new, like, is there now like some sort of like new prep training for in the event of a catastrophic thing like this now, where like the soldiers could be as prepared as possible?
Yeah, so now we woke up late, but we woke up. Now we're good.
I see.
I don't think it will happen again 7th of October 7th, but it will happen over here, and I'll explain to continue the maps. Okay? The more the Hamas, you know the story that we had some guy, intelligence officer, was caught in intelligence. He said that he found one of the some documents that Sinwar wrote that he said that the more you wait, the Jews will fight with each other.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It was in the news.
Yeah.
And the more we do this, they'll fight the left and right, and the right within it, and the
Look at the
hostages.
6 weeks before the 6th, the 7th. Yeah.
So this over here is Gaza. Okay, this is Sderot. We'll attack the Caucasus. Okay, all this over here was breached, like between 30 to 40 openings in the fence, even more. And that day, here, I'll show you over here. And now what I'm saying is that this also were called up over here. And if not, I was called to Nablus over here. And Kalkia, I was between this area over here. It could be this would be another 7th of October. To Kfar Saba, Tel Aviv, and they would attack like this. Look how close it is.
I didn't realize it's only 11 miles.
Guys, this when you're now over here. You're now where the H of Ramallah is. Okay, now, a little south between these two over here. Okay, you're between Jerusalem and Dead Sea now as we speak. Okay, and that's Hebron down there. That's where Hebron is. Okay, what it means, the Judea and Samaria means over here. These are the regions. This is the ABC. Okay, so. The ABC is one of the most complicated maps, I think, in the world. And nonsense. Like, really, you think this is a solution? 1995, when Paris and Rabin had this negotiations, this is Oslo Accords. You think this will solve the problem with Arabs and Jews?
Yeah.
So yes, maybe giving them autonomy, okay, it sounds good. But that's it. Giving them guns, giving them responsibility of the... So the solution, from my opinion, is number one, education. Because I've seen what they're teaching in these places. Ramallah, Nablus, Jenin, Tulkarem. This is a very dangerous area over here. This is where I was operated over here.
You've gone into the schools?
I've gone into schools, mosques, homes. I've seen what they're teaching their kids. I told you in the lookout. Okay? Yeah. It's crazy. Now, if you don't change that, we're not going to have peace.
I agree.
No chance. Now, when Golda Meir says years ago, I told you what he said about the arms, but what she says, we're going to have peace as policies when they love their children more than they hate us, right?
Yeah.
It's never going to happen because they send their kids to kill us. And they send out candies to their neighbors when their kids die when they do an attack on Israel.
Yeah.
They're so proud of these people. You can't have peace with these people.
So there's no such thing, in your opinion, as a de-radicalization process to implement that long-term 40, 50, 60 years?
Only way is education. You got to change the education system. I don't want to kill them. I don't want to live next to them. I don't want to kick him out of Israel or start moving him.
You want to teach them not to hate us.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I talk.
That's the only solution.
I agree.
You can't have, listen, you give him land, we tried it. You gave him Gush Katif, this area in the south, remember? Right? You gave him in 1995, we gave him this. We took out 2005 Jewish communities over there. He said, you know what, take it. It's saying that Jews are conquering land. Take it, take the land. So what did they do after we gave them land? They didn't say, okay, now we're going to use it for our education, use all the money we're getting from the world to build up schools and mosques and education and sewage systems, whatever. No. 90% of the budget goes to where? To tunnels and guns and RPGs and getting ready for attacking Israel to kick out the Jews because you're giving them a finger. Now they want the whole hand. And they give an appetite. They say, oh, the Jews were pressuring them. They'll give us the whole land because they gave us part of the Gush Katif. So now they take the whole land. Then they take a whole arm, then the whole body. That's what they're thinking. That's the way they think. They don't think, okay, now they gave us, we'll live with the Jews now, we'll be okay. I'll come to there. See, we live beside the Jews. And they want to live instead of us, not beside of us. Understand? So, and that's, I'm telling you, when I saw, I could show you pictures in my phone of all kind of maps that I found in the Palestinian Authority area. Here, this is an example over here. Let's see. This is an example of my guys. You see over here the Shahidim. These are.
Where is this?
This is in the middle of some village next to Shechem. You see all list of the people who killed the Jews.
That's it, Yasser Arafat.
That's Yasser Arafat and Abu Mazen. That's the number one. He's a president. And this is what you have in the living room. The guy, he's the guy who killed the Jews. He's the brother of the guy. Okay, he got a medal honor from the Mahmoud Abbas because he killed the Jew. And this is inside the rooms. Now I asked my soldier to look at the school books they're living. So I'd like, okay, look, open up the schools. I said,
you speak Arabic?
A little bit, but this guy over here speaks much better. So I said, look, I want you to review for like 10 minutes. We're looking for guns. We found guns in the baby crib. We found guns in the washing machine. And we arrested the guy, of course, because that was our target, because he was a terrorist.
You found a gun in a baby crib?
Yeah, all the time. They hide guns in all kinds of places. And then they said, you know what, you stay here and look at the books. Look at the books. And he saw the books. You'll be amazed what they teach over here. Now we're talking about 3rd, 4th grade.
7, 8.
Every soldier rapes Arab women every morning. That's what they do. We occupied their country from 1948. They had a beautiful Palestinian state, and we conquered it from them. And they're saying things in these books. You'll be amazed and it's shocking what they're saying. The land, the house they're attacking, the fence or the checkpoint or the city Jewish community they're nearby was our land. They took it from us, and nonsense. But if you, like we said, if you preach these books, and education and math books and science and everything, even in science books they say lies about Israel. This is a map of Israel. That's the future for the Palestinians.
That's from the river to the sea.
Of course. Now where is the Palestinian two-state solution here? No, they're laughing at us when they say two-state solution. Really, you really think we're going to shake your hands and we're going to do it just to lie? Just like Yasser Arafat was a terrorist and he lied to us and said, oh, we're going to talk negotiations. We're going to do
home and attack.
Boom, exactly.
Yeah.
The whole thing. And that's what's going on. This is as we speak. This is the settlement as you hear in the news.
Where?
Because this part of the settlement is not authorized yet by the government. Will be. The part over there where you just came from is authorized.
How do they establish?
Now this, what you hear, usually you hear about settlements, you take a picture of these guys over here.
Okay.
Like the guys over here living in some hill, occupying territories, which is nonsense. All this over here is government land, okay? Not even one village or Arab community is close by. Like you see, nothing's over here.
Okay.
Israelis and Jews. But we make our own problems to ourselves. So what I'm saying is a solution to all the housing and cheap housing and all the issues in the center of Israel, which is next to Tel Aviv and Kfar Saba and Petah Tikva and all those areas over there. Just go to the east and annex the area of Judea and Samaria to our hands, because we know anyways what their goal is, the Palestinians. They don't want to live next to us, right? Like I said before, they want to live instead of us. That's why we have to always say and do what's good for us and not what the world think and the American thinks and everything. What's good for us is we need cheaper housing, we need a bigger country, and look around.
So
that's Ma'ale Adumim, the big city.
Okay.
Now that's a city.
That's a city.
You see, right?
And that?
That's the short. That's where we had I tried to take you to the coffee shop. The industrial area.
Oh, okay.
Where the big mall is.
Okay. Wow, this is so each time. So all those are what cities
Jewish
that I'm looking
Jewish
at?
Communities.
Those are
Small Jewish communities.
Small Jewish communities.
Exactly.
And there's nothing else here in
Nothing
between.
here.
In between.
Do you see
It's
an
just
Arab
desert.
village? I don't think any elevators here.
So then, when it's the whole like far radical right-wing settlers, it's these guys in caravans on Jewish land, or are they
on Jewish land? Some guys like next to Shechem, because of their relatives was murdered by a Palestinian. They say, no, we're gonna now conquer some So one family, they decided to take one caravan and mount it next to a Palestinian village, which is a minor story from the whole story of the settlements. Now is in the main news podcast of all the CNN and Fox, whatever, not Fox, CNN, right? And they're, all the Palestinians are like, all the Jewish communities are like this, all the Jewish settlers are like this, they're dangerous to the people, they want to conquer land, which is nonsense. A small, minor story became the majority of all the people. Exactly.
Interesting.
That's what happens.
But these people here, like, how did they get this built? Like, if it's not recognized by the government, then who paid for the building of all
the government authorizes this, but not officially yet.
So help me understand what that means.
It means that's how things work in Israel. Sorry to say, but all the communities like Be'eri, near Oz, all the communities next to Gaza was like that in the beginning also. They were sent by the government, but not authorized yet. It takes a couple of years to authorize them officially.
What does that mean, authorized?
It's like established Rager.
Okay.
Like a Rager. This is the machine over here. This is Leadership Academy over here. People come here to learn leadership.
To learn leadership. Exactly. Oh, bro, this is something, man.
Okay. Now the closest Arab village or Arab community in the area is Jericho by the valley, down the valley over there. It's 20 kilometers from here. And what's crazy is that these guys are Palestinians. Are Palestinians, and they work over here in the community because they have a good job working, building a deck over here. See the deck they're building over here? Okay, let's go check out the place. That is Nofei Prat. That's where I live. Let's go a little over here. This over here is a new community they're building. Okay, you can see over there. All that's a new.
Where's the? Okay.
Okay. All that. Look at this. All the new community. All this is new. This is authorized by Trump in the first administration. Serious? How'd that work?
2016.
Yeah. Okay. Look. This is a park for the kids. Okay. That's a whole new every house, every square here is like 4 families. Okay. And this over here is a farm that it teaches special education. I have kids over there. I'll do a little faster. Sport mode. Strong wind. Warning. Okay. They make olive oil. All the trees you see around are other trees over there belong to them. Olive oil press. They have a small community of drug addicts that are taken care of, like, from Jerusalem and everything. Over here is the big city, our mother city called Kfar Adumim, over there. Okay. On the right is Ma'ale Adumim, the big city you see over there. Okay. And everything over here is called Northern Judean Hills. Okay, now all the valleys, all the mountain, that's where we are now. See the home point with the H. Okay, everything over here, nothing Arab. Look, nothing over here is Arab. No village. The closest, that's the small Bedouins you saw on the way. Remember? That's as closest you could find. Here,
Why is none of it being
built? Because it's political, and also it's hard physically to live.
Who owns that?
the land, the country, government owns it. It's called Area C, like you know. Okay, all these trees belong to my friend called Boaz. Okay, my Ladonim city. It's like everything over here is Jewish. Everything over here is Jewish. Not even close to Arab land or Arab territories. Arabs in the area are these Palestinians, which are called Bedouins, on the left over here, down the hill. See them?
Yeah.
They want to live here.
Yeah.
These guys are actually living on our lands. Just stayed here up to years ago now. A few years ago, the Bedouins used to move from place to place. Because in the summer they used to go up north, and winter they used to go down south. But now they don't move anymore because now there's a law in Israel that there's land costs money. So you can't just come and settle some land because you want to move from place to place because you're a Bedouin or a gypsy, whatever you call it in English. Okay? Now there's a law. So now they're stuck over here and they expand. They have kids, they have grandkids, and they're second and third generation are over here, and they're expanding, and they have bigger villages. They used to live in tents, and now they live in shacks. And sometimes they're starting to build like real homes with bricks and everything.
Do they have like a medical system? How are they delivering babies?
They belong to East Jerusalem region.
I see.
Or some go to Jericho, which is also like area A. Beautiful, huh?
So pretty, man. Ah.
That's my community, see?
Yeah, wow. The Judean desert. And
that's another Jewish community.
Another Jewish community.
Anatot. Now in the Bible, there's a place called Anatot, the house of Jeremiah, which is down the hill. Where I told you my kids go to water spring under the hill called Ein Prat, Wadi Prat. They walk there on Shabbat. Sometimes my oldest you saw just now, and my daughter sometimes also. She's becoming a little lazy, but my two sons do that with their friends. They go downhill, they jump into pools, and they come up.
Wow. So there's water down there.
It's beautiful, 24/7. Also in the summer.
It's not disappearing, or it is.
Yep. See the shepherd? That's a Bedouin shepherd.
Yeah.
They're gathering wood for the next winter. These guys. They're really, really old-fashioned. Like living in old ways. It's third world.
Do they have like cellular network? Do they?
So they have electricity from the poles over here. They just take it from the like illegally. But the government said, okay, fine, do it, because sometimes these guys they're threatening just to cut off the lines, to come and cut it.
I mean, where is this? Who's dealing with it?
Because it's Palestinian. Who cares, right? That's a Palestinian. That's a lot of cars that were stolen inside Israel. If you hear like there's a organization or a company called Ituran, all the big Jeeps or the expensive cars have like my car. And it's stolen. It's like a GPS on it, and they bring them to here. And they take them apart in big parts. And now, good luck finding your car when it's really taken apart already.
This
is a
Palestinian
Arab village called Shu'afat. Palestinian, yeah. And because the Palestinian authorities are charged, they don't care the garbage will just go on top of the hill. So let's throw the garbage over here. Now, they burn the garbage, they do like that to the garbage, but we care about the environment, and they don't care. It's a problem when you're living so close to the Palestinians, which really don't care about the environment. That's that kind of aspect. Now, every Palestinian, which I could drive here as a Palestinian, I could drive over here, and the garbage dump, and all around, because we're still in the Judean Samir or West Bank. Okay, but I can't pass a checkpoint, because in the checkpoint we're going to be in a few minutes. Only Palestinians who have a permit
can go in.
Which nowadays in the war a lot less. That's why you also have an issue of less buildings in Israel. You heard about this news. They're importing people or workers from Thailand, China, okay, from Indonesia. They're importing workers because of the lack of Palestinians that are working in Israel, because people do not want to hire Palestinians after October 7th.
So on the other side of this wall,
Is a Palestinian
Is a
village we just saw, which was
okay, I see.
The village we saw before the garbage, that's a village. A whole
And
big
there's
village.
also Anata,
Anata and
Anata,
exactly.
and I'm just looking at the okay.
But because of that wall, 98% of the bombings of Jerusalem were stopped in 2000, 2005, 2010. I don't think it was amazing.
You don't think what?
I don't think the wall is amazing. I think
What do you
that's
mean?
not a way to stop terrorism. That's my.
But if they prevented 98% of those,
I agree.
attacks.
A lot of it stopped, but like I told you, the concept of the fence in Gaza, which was taken down with a second and tractor.
it's a band-aid.
Okay, and also the concept of the Iron Dome and everything. The wall, if they really want, they'll come with a ladder, like they did in Jordan a lot.
Mhm.
I mean, and they come and yes, it's a smart wall, and it has detectors, and it has cameras, but everything you could deal with. Really.
Could you and I go into that village now, or no?
Not this
theoretically.
one, but I have a different one I could take you in if you want.
So like if you and I pulled up, we just wouldn't get let in. Is essentially what you're saying?
No. If we could pull up in the side, no, something happened to us because.
Is it because the license plate's yellow?
No, not a reason, because they also have Israeli Arabs with yellow ones.
Sure.
But I have a gun, which is always on me all the time, pistol,
Right.
and also there's also they could tell you guys are not like
We don't look.
nerds or Hasidic, would they attack a lot of Hasidic people because they have no way to defend themselves. Usually these guys will come to them, they know we have guns.
But why would someone like
We
you
look
and I
like
go
security.
there? Why would we go there? Why would you and I go there ever? Why would you go there?
To do
Honestly?
business.
To do business?
Yeah, they do business with Arabs. People go cheaper garages. So when I was young and I didn't have a penny, I used to fix up my car in the Palestinian garages. It was
Cheaper?
like half price, even less.
Wow.
Cheaper.
Wow. Okay. But they don't have a security gate like. It's just
No.
like you could have
when
taken.
when you drive in the Judean and Samaria areas, you could tell by what's a Jewish community, what's the Arab community, what's the way. If you have a guarded community with a security guard and entrance or a fence, it's a Jewish place. You would never have a Arab Palestinian village with a fence or a guard. Why? Because you don't have Jews coming into an Arab village and attacking. That's nonsense you hear in the news, which never happens. Usually it's some once in 10 years happen a situation where you have a crazy Jew who, I don't know, someone took their sheep and they came and took that back to sheep. There's a whole story says, oh, the settlers are coming and conquering or I don't know what, they're taking land from the Palestinians, which is nonsense.
So those videos of like those like religious, the ones with like the long payas, that's not them going into.
Propaganda. Sorry to say, it's propaganda.
It's not happening.
Listen, I say it is happening, but like I said before, it's a minority that has a big voice, and
I
a
see.
whole, like, they're gonna make it as if all the settlements are like that.
Sure.
All the settlers.
Right,
I'm a
yeah.
settler. I'll show you my community. It's
Right.
legal. We're sent by the government. All my 90% of my guys in my communities are doctors, are teachers, are lawyers, are accountants, are whatever, very normal people living just to live a life and to have kids and to have a family. And sometimes you have those extreme, like even a 0.5% of the settlements or settlers who are more extreme and do a little shtuyot, like they say, right? And they become the
majority
voice, the
voice,
majority,
yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
which is never the truth.
The analogy I like to make is, just because like David Duke and the KKK were anti-Semitic and, obviously wanted to kill black people doesn't mean that all Americans are anti-Semitic and want to kill black people. They represent a very small minority of people,
Exactly.
So you can't label me as an American anti-Semitic and...
But you're white, so you're probably anti-Semitic, no? or anti minorities.
Right.